Hello students, this is your second part of the lesson, the last lesson. Let's continue. While I was wondering about it all, M. Hamel mounted his chair and, in the same grave and gentle tone which he had used to me, said, "My children, this is the last lesson I shall give you. So, accept our narrator's thought process. Here, the teacher M. Hamel also announced something. On his gentle tone, mostly he used with the students, he said that, "My children, this is the last lesson I shall give you." So right now, this is the title of our lesson, the last lesson. And why he is going to present the last lesson today? It will be our next surprise. The order has come from Berlin to teach only German in the schools of Alsace and Lorraine. The new master comes tomorrow and this is your last French lesson. I want you to very attentive. The teacher informed that why this is the last lesson because the order has come from the Berlin. Berlin, as we know that two districts, Alsace and Lorraine, was already attacked by the German army. And right now, there is a place, capital, Berlin. And there was an order for the Alsace and Lorraine. And the order was that the new master comes tomorrow, and after the new master comes, there will be a German lecture in the classroom, not that French lessons. So, lectures in school will continue, but this is the last French lesson. For the villagers and as well as students. What a thunderclap this verse was to me. Narrator says that what a thunderclap and a shocking moment for me. Oh, the wretches, that was what they had put up at the town hall. Narrator now striking. Oh, what was the news on that bulletin board when the people, the crowd were there when he passed that town hall. Now our narrator completely clear that the bulletin board also expressed the news of this new master. My last French lesson. Why? I hardly knew how to write. I should never learn anymore. I must stop there then. Oh, how sorry I was for not learning my lessons, for seeking birds' eggs and going sliding on the shaft. The narrator said that, oh, this one is my last French lesson. I hardly knew anything about the French language, and there is no chance that I will learn my language again. I have to stop this learning process of French language. Oh, how sorry I was not learning my lessons again, for seeking birds' eggs and going sliding on the shaft. Here the shaft is a name of river. My books that had seemed such a nuisance a while ago, so heavy to carry, my grammar and my history of the saints were old friends now that I couldn't give up. Now it's like for narrator, it's guilty time because most of the time we avoid study like normal students, but right now, the day he was feel completely guilty, bad for his native language. He thought that my books, most of the times, I thought that it's completely nuisance. I couldn't carry my bag because it's so heavy, because I didn't like that books to read. My grammar and my history of saints were old friends now that I couldn't give up. And Mr. Hamel too. The idea that he was going away, that I should never see him again, made me forget all about his ruler and how cranky he was. The narrator says that there is a completely flashback time from a narrator. He says that I will not see my teacher again, as well as my books, my French books. And the cranky, yani ki rude teacher, rude Mr. M. Hamel, the narrator thought he was not exactly rude, but he was nice person, nice teacher. And now, in future, I am going to miss my teacher and his lessons. It's like लाइफ में भी कई बार होता है ना कि जब हमारे पास कोई चीज होती है तो हमें उसकी कदर नहीं होती, लेकिन जब वो चीज हमारे पास से चली जाती है या हमारे पास नहीं रहती तब हमको समझ में आता है कि नहीं यार, old is gold. So here the same situation, you can compare the situation of our narrator friend. Poor man, it was honor of this last lesson that he had put on his fine Sunday clothes. And now I understand why the old men of the village were sitting there in the back of the room. Now the narrator says that now I completely understand the presence of villagers, the presence of horser, presence of village old people. Why they were there? Because it's like farewell for M. Hammer. And the villagers also want to hang and also want to learn the last French lesson. It was because they were sorry too that they had not gone to school more. Our narrator thought that the old villagers also like him. During that school time, he was not serious with the French language, and today they felt sorry for that. It was their way of thanking our master for his 40 years of faithful services and showing their respect for the country that was theirs no more. And if the villagers were there to give thanks or to say, to show their tribute towards M. Hamel, who has been serving their area or their school from the last 40 years. While I was thinking of all this, I heard my name called. The writer was busy in his own imagination and his own thinking. But when he heard his name, it was my turn to recite. That would I not have given to be able to say that dreadful rule for the particles also. Narrator says that it was my turn to recite the rules of particle which he didn't know. Very loud and clear and without any mistake. But I got mixed up the first words and stood there holding on to my desk, my heart beating and not daring to look up. The narrator decided that, okay, I will present the rules of particles without any mistake. But what happened finally? He mixed up the words and stood there. He was filled shame that he could not even look up towards the teacher. I heard M. Hamel say to me, I won't scold you. Narrator heard the shocking and unbelievable words from M. Hamel. He said that teacher said that he won't scold our narrator. Little friends, you must feel bad enough. Teacher said that you already feel bad that you didn't know the answer. So why should I scold you? Don't worry. I won't scold you. See how it is. Every day we have said to ourselves, well, I have plenty of time. I will learn it tomorrow. And now you see where we have come out. Teacher says that every day we say to ourselves that it's okay, we have time, we'll read it tomorrow. Yeah, the day after tomorrow. But see, we don't have time. This type of things also happen with our students. Like if we have theory or any chapter, we'll think that okay, I will read it tomorrow. And there is no tomorrow. There is only and only today. So the teacher said that mostly we have mistaken that we will read it tomorrow, yeah, we will learn it tomorrow, but there is no tomorrow. And look, today final day for our French lesson. Now those fellows out there will have the right to say, how is it? You pretend to be Frenchmen and yet you can neither speak nor write your own language. There is a guilty or taunt from the MHML to the villagers and for the students also that, like as a native language, we are fluent in our French, but we neither speak nor write our own language. And from tomorrow, it's definitely not possible that anyone can learn and from tomorrow, there is no one to teach you French language. How is it you pretend to be Frenchmen and yet you can neither speak nor write your own language? But you are not the worst. Poor little friends. We have all a great deal to reproach ourselves with. Narrator says that, don't worry little friends, it's not only for you, but most of us behave like this. Okay, we have time, we will learn. But there is no time now. Your parents were not anxious enough to have you learn. And Hamel says that your parents were also responsible for it because he never insisted enough to give right education to their children. They pretend to put you to work on farm or at the mills. The most of the time, parents pretend that my child will earn something from farm or mills. There is no need to study. So, as to have a little more money. For parents, mostly they approach their kids for the farming or for the work of mills because the both place give money to parents. And now the MHML also question on himself. Okay, whatever the parents did, but what about me? I have been to blame also. Have I not often sent you to water my flowers instead of learning your lesson? And when I wanted to go fishing, did I not just give you a holiday? MHML says that not only your parents were responsible for your education, and also because whenever the time of teaching, most of the time, I send you to watering to my plants, and when I wanted to go fishing, I declared holiday in the school. Then, from one thing to another, MHML went on to talk of the French language, saying that it was the most beautiful language. After one topic to next topic, the MHML is continuing to discussing his relation or his attachment with French language, students and the villagers. He said that there is a French language is one of the most beautiful language in the world, the clearest and the most logical, that we must guard it among us and never forget it. And I will say that we must guard, we must protect our language and we should never forget our native language. Because when a people are enslaved, as long as they hold fast to their language, it is as if they have the key to their prison. M7 says that when there is a time when a people are enslaved and as long as they hold fast to their language, it is as if they have the key to their prison. Like sometimes happen after that foreign people invade on our country and during their rule or their ruling time, we completely forget our own speciality. The MHML says that the same thing happened with that people. Then he opened a grammar and read us our lesson. I was amazed to see how well I understood it. Finally, after the discussion, our teacher MHML started the lesson of the day and our narrator said that I was amazed to see how well I understood the lesson. All he said seemed so easy, so easy. For the narrator, this one is an easy lesson because he was completely attentive in the classroom. Most of the times when the teacher explained, we are busy with our friends were completely absent in the classroom. So, here our narrator says that the lesson was completely easy because he was in the classroom with the full attention. I think too that I had never listened so carefully. Narrator also accepts that language was always easy, but I never paid attention towards it, and that he had never explained everything with so much patience. It seemed almost as if the poor man wanted to give us all he knew before going away, and to put it all into our hands at one stroke. Narrator said that the teacher explaining that last lesson like he wanted to present all the knowledge or all the information, whatever he knew about the French. Because this one is the last day for our teacher also. Next day there will be a new teacher and he or she will explain or teach German, not French. So this one is the last day for the students as well as teacher to explain or to understand something. After the grammar, we had a lesson in writing. That day, M. Hamel had new copies for us, written in a beautiful round hand, Franz Elsek, Franz Elsek. So after the grammar lesson, the new topic from the lesson, and M. Hamel had new copies for the students, and he had written something in that pages with beautiful handwriting, and the words were Franz Elsek, Franz Elsek. They looked like little flags floating everywhere in the schoolroom, hung from the rod at the top of our desk. The name that Franz and Elsek is like flag which present the love towards nation from the students and the teacher. You ought to have seen how everyone sat to work and how quiet it was. Narrator says that everyone is busy there, but still there is a quietness, calmness in the classroom. The only sound was the scratching of pens over the paper. Once some beetles flew in, but nobody paid any attention to them. Not even the littlest ones who worked right on them, tracing their fish hooks as if that was French too. Narrator says that everyone is busy with their words, everyone is busy with their flags, no one paying attention towards others' discussion, and every single student is only wants to express his love for that nation. On the roof, the pigeons cooked very well, and I thought myself, will they make them sing in German? Even the pigeons? The narrator says that today there were some birds, pigeons, who were doing noise there, but the narrator thought that the pigeons also sing their song in German. Now there is a satire or there is a grief from our narrator. Now there will be no chance to hear French language in the school. Whenever I looked up from my writing, I saw M. Hamel sitting motionless in his chair and gazing first at one thing, then at another, as if he wanted to fix in his mind just how everything looked in that little schoolroom. Narrator says that whenever I am doing my work, the same time, when I observe my teacher, M. Hamel, he was completely motionless. He sat in his chair and gazing in the classroom. First one thing, then second thing. Like he want to capture whole thing in his mind. Fancy. For 40 years, he had been there in the same place with his garden outside the window and his class in front of him. Narrator says that Teacher had given his 40 years for this school, so definitely it's time to leave this school, and the teacher was so sad and he wanted to fix all the school things in his mind as a memory. Just like that, only the desk and benches had been worn smooth, and walnut trees in the garden were taller, and the hope vine that he had planted himself twined about the windows to the roof. Here, the teacher observed the things, classroom things and also outside the classroom things, like walnut trees यानी कि अखरोट, walnut यानी कि अखरोट. He planted in the garden, and the hope vine, one type of tree, that he had planted himself twined about the windows to the roof. How it must have broken his heart to leave it all, poor man, to hear his sister moving about in the room above, pecking their trunks, for they must leave the country next day. So it completely a shocking and sad thing for the teacher that he planted the trees, and finally he has to leave all these things in just a shock, in just a moment. His sister also packing his trunks, and there is no option. They must have to leave country very next day. But he had the courage to hear every lesson to the very last. After the writing, we had a lesson in history, and then babies chanted that ba baby ba bo bo. Narrator says that first grammar, then lesson, then now they have history lesson. And after their work, there is few work for that babies, and that kids, and there was some rhyme. Down there at the back of the room, old Hauser had put on his spectacles and holding his primer in both hands, spelled the letters with them. In the classroom, there was old Hauser, a man. He also held that book, primer book, and spelled the letters with them. You could see that he too was crying. The Hauser was old, but still he was crying because it was the last French lesson for them. His voice trembled with emotion, and it was so funny to hear him that we all wanted to laugh and cry. How well I remember it, the last lesson. Narrator says that not even the old men, but the students also want to cry, also want to laugh, but it's completely like they are not able to decide what should we do, because this one is the last lesson. All at once the church clock struck 12, then the angles, and the same moment the triumphants of the Parisians returning from drill sounded under our windows. The narrator expressed the outside situation. The church also expressed, the church clock expressed that time. The same time, the Parisian army soldiers, they were returning from that drill. As in the beginning of the lesson, our narrator expressed that when he was going towards the school, in the showmill, the army of the Persia, they were doing drill. So on the clock of 12, they were also returning. Sounded under our windows. M. Hamel stood up, very pale, very light, said, in his chair, I never saw him look so tall. He said that I never saw him, our teacher, so tall. Here there is just one type of figures of speech. My friends, said he yani teacher. Teacher said that, but something choked him. He could not go on. He wanted to say something, but he couldn't. Then he turned to the blackboard, took a piece of chalk, and bearing on with all his might, he wrote as large as he could. He wanted to say something, but he couldn't, so finally he used that chalk and he wrote something on the blackboard of the classroom as large as he could, and the word was "Vive la France," यानी कि long live France. Vive la France यानी कि long live France. Then he stopped and leaned his head against the wall, and without a word he made a gesture to us with his hand. School is dismissed. You may go. And there were the last words from M. Hamel on blackboard of the classroom, "Long live France," and he just stood. He hadn't any capacity to speak anything. So, with his hand gesture, he informed the class that the school is dismissed. The school is dismissed for forever because from that day there will be no French lesson in the school and you may go. So there is the end of our lesson. Sorry students for little bit interruption in between, but I will make sure that it won't happen in next lecture. Thank you.